I just feel like it's time to like get out of the whole. This is the timeline. Like, talk about the developmental timeline. You know, like, hey, I can remember a time where it was like, hey, they don't have the money to. They're not in a space to do this. Hey, they're 2 and 3 years away from. You remember that?
Yep.
I can remember a time like 2 years ago. You know, where Deebo Samuel was a conversation of trade conversation. People were like, nah, it's not on the developmental timeline. Well, we're not on the developmental timeline no more, right? So to me, that's where the conversation has to change in the way that you talk about smart money. You can't talk about it like in terms of, hey, we're nickel and diming our way to success. Like, you have to kind of go all in on the opportunity that's in front of you, a quarterback on a rookie deal, and now you do have the money to spend. Like, you have to just, to me, look at it completely different than the way that it's been looked at in the past.
I mean, if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? And I mentioned this yesterday with Landry. There's never been a better time to act like you're a big boy.
Yeah.
You know, to act like you're a big boy and actually be a big boy.
Yeah.
It's not just rookie quarterback contract. It's Will Anderson. It's Derek Stingley. But how much money are those guys going to get when they hit their next deal?
Even more so, man, what did this year teach us about this nonsensical conversation about developmental timelines? What did we think about the developmental timeline going into this year?
Yeah.
We didn't think they were going to be ready to win. It shows you how quickly things can change in the NFL. It's a credit to the NFL for its parity, but also to what the Texans were able to do in building the team. So it's like, never come to me ever again. I don't care if the Texans are successful. They're, the highs of the highs that we're at right now or the lows of the lows that we've experienced over the last few years. Don't ever come back to me talking about no developmental timeline and when it is appropriate to go for it.
Yeah.
You can check, like making moves like this, hitting on a quarterback, obviously, but making moves like this is how you change the conversation. It's how you flip the script.
And I think it's a fun path because, like, I'm sure, like, people around Houston, shout out to the Loopholes if you listen, you are one. I'm going to try to make a comparison. Maybe it hits, maybe it won't. I don't know. But I think the best type of paths, like, to get to your destination when you're driving are the ones where you have multiple options. Oh, I can take this freeway. Oh, I can take that freeway. Yeah. Oh, I could take the back roads. Oh, the toll road. If I want to pay for the tolls, I can take the tolls.
Yep.
Sometimes when you're talking about reaching your ultimate destination, there's just one route. Sometimes there's just one route, and if there's red on the navigation, you're screwed. There's one route. There's one thing that you really, really need. But when it comes to the Texans, like, there's so many routes right now that they can take to get to where they want to get. And when I look around, like, the league, and I see San Francisco is running their system, the system that the Texans run, and they invested in a running back, and that was a big part of that. And Baltimore and Kansas City got where they got because on top of their systems, they had great quarterback play. And Joe Burrow made the Super Bowl in his second season, so I can look at that. There's just like, it almost feels like you got two options on the freeway. You got the back road. You got the toll road. It doesn't seem like there's like one thing that you're just pounding the table for right now, and that's the fun part about it.
Yeah, and you made that Cincinnati Bengals comparison a couple of segments or earlier in the show. Like, it's the perfect example. Like, notoriously known as a cheap organization, like, just worthless. People know this. But then all of a sudden, they hit on a quarterback. They spend a little money. They took DJ Reader from over here, right? Bates they signed. Like, they've made some. Obviously, drafting Jamar Chase the next year. But you look and lo and behold, all of a sudden, the Cincinnati Bengals were something serious. The Detroit Lions. Yeah, I know y'all disagreed on Dan Campbell. And y'all had some fun with him earlier in the week. But they got a coach that at least they believe in, whether we believe in him or not, at least that they believe in. And they ended up hitting on that trade, like, did the best that you could do for trading for, like, if you're going to trade for scraps for Matthew Stafford and you get back a quarterback that can take you to a conference championship game. So it's like, okay, you can flip the script like that with a couple of good moves, couple of savvy moves. It does not have to take forever.
It gets frustrating, because y'all are both familiar with that old Pavlov's dog theory.
Not really.
Where you ring a bell and then you feed a dog, then you ring a bell and feed a dog because there's food there. Then you ring a bell and there's no food there, and they start salivating because they're expecting food.
Yeah.
That's the theory of Pavlov's dogs. I feel like Texans fans are like Pavlov's dogs. Like, you ring the bell and you say, they can go for it now, and they go, nah, we can't. A couple more years.
Yeah.
A couple more years. No, man. That bell is ringing right now.
Yeah.
You can do these things. Take the different paths, like Landry's talking about. Spend smart, big money, like I talk about. Maybe make something bold, like Mike Evans, like you're talking about. There is no, we're conditioned as Texans fans to go, no, not yet. We're not that good yet.
My thing is, I thought it was nonsense before they had all of the right things. I didn't think that was the way to look at it even then.
Now.
I feel like now the excuse is gone.
Yeah.
Like you can't talk like that no more because you're like, okay, what are we waiting on?
Yeah.
What do you mean that you don't have that you can't do this or you can't do that? You can do whatever the hell you want.
The other fun part, Landry?
You do got to be smart, but you can.
But
the margin for error is big.
But kind of going back to Lopez's point about smart money, you should be going all in with smart money, but aggressive as hell.
I think the other fun thing, to your point, we're talking about the next 10 years. We're never going to be saying, oh, no, not now. You can't do that.
But it's never going to be easier than now, right? Because you're the rookie quarterback.
Not now,
it doesn't get easier.
If not
it only
now,
gets more difficult as the quarterback gets older. Or he just gets badass and it gets easier.
Yeah, and see, I'm with y'all, understand what y'all saying, but I'm so in the moment. I'm like, it's got to be now.
No, it's got to be now.
I don't know.
No,
you talking about 10 years?
It has to be now.
5 years, past his rookie deal, his next contract. I don't know nothing about it.
He's going to make $300 million, man.
You remember? And look, I'm not putting this on C.J. Stroud. But remember the last time there was a franchise quarterback here?
No.
And at the time, it was like, the next 8 years, the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Yeah.
So it's like right now.
Now.
Today.
And you're not, I don't even know that you're necessarily the hunter at this point. You are hunting to improve your squad, but I also think you're kind of getting hunted. Because there's ever so often there's a guy that hits the market and there's only 3 teams that he would be considering. Yeah. You're kind of getting to where you're in that mix.
Yeah.
Whenever so-and-so signs with the Chiefs or the Ravens, it's well, wow, that was cheap. Well, he wasn't going to take that money to play with the raggedy-ass Texans of the previous years. You're not only are you hunting, you're also getting hunted now. People want to be here.
Well, this was my whole point about.
This
was my whole point about Derrick Henry last week. Kind of the idea of, hey, you're going to not just sign him, but you're going to keep the other teams from signing him, the Buffaloes, that's
in play.
Ravens,
the Ravens of the world, obviously, the Chiefs of whoever, right? Okay, so you're going to keep them from the Dolphins, keep them from signing Derrick Henry.
That is absolutely in play.
All right, well, not only why are you keeping them from signing them? Because you're in that mix.
Yeah.
Who cares? Last year, the year before, who cares if you keep them? I mean,
it wasn't going to make a difference.
Cool. But now, now you're in that mix. Mm-hmm. So you're not just playing keep away, but you're also adding to a team that should definitely be competing for, Super Bowl. Y'all had the conversation earlier. Yeah, why not? Why would you not be having a conversation about going to the Super Bowl when the Detroit Lions was almost in it? Come on now.
So Sean and Seth were talking about the running back position yesterday. They appear to be pro Henry. This was their back and forth about the difference between Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley.
Both from an injury standpoint, and he's undependable both from an injury standpoint and just a game-by-game productivity standpoint, or a carry-by-carry. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of boom or bust with him, and I just don't trust that as what I want to really establish that ability to week in, week out, run the ball, set up the play action, do all those things, and to run the ball successfully. I know you don't have to run the ball successfully to set up the play action, but it sure as hell helps when you only have to convert a 3rd and 4 instead of a 3rd and 9.
Absolutely.
The play action doesn't really help you a lot on 3rd and 9.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I think somebody's going to pay Saquon Barkley
a
good amount of money. I just don't want. I want nothing to do with a big running back contract.
Yeah, I definitely don't want Saquon Barkley at the annual amount that he got this year, which was $12 million. I don't know that I want any of these guys at $12 million. I'm shopping in that $6 or $7 million aisle at the most when it comes to running backs.
So my thing with this, and I think Seth did a hell of a job laying out the case for Derrick Henry. I think they both did. For me, if you're paying Saquon Barkley what it would cost to franchise tag him, I don't look at that as overpaying. If he hits the market and you're giving him what it would cost to franchise tag him, I don't look at that as overpaying. I look at that as you're basically now doing what other teams try to do when they have guys like Saquon Barkley. Yeah. I don't look at it that way. And the $6 million for what, at the most, a running back's gonna get a 3-year deal, right? Like Taylor got 3 years, 40 plus or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I don't look at that like the gap between 6 and 12 with where the Texans are as like something huge for Saquon.
Devin Singletary might mess around and get $6 million after the year that he just had. Like, he signed for 1 year, 2.5. He might get $5 million or something like that. Like that's what we're talking about. No disrespect to Devin Singletary, but I'm not
doubled his money, man.
Yeah, no, good and good for him. I'm happy for him. I mean, that's what you come to do, right? But no, I would be much more concerned about the issues that Seth brought up as far as
durability,
the durability
yeah, that's fair.
And the dependability.
But were they saying that about Christian McCaffrey? Before he got to San Fran?
But I feel like you got a little bit more. Like you've got I feel like with Saquon, you've really got the one season of last year where he carried the team.
Yeah.
And really early on in his career where you saw the flashes.
He's a freaking star, too.
Yeah, man. But to me,
star.
he's of that. That's the issue. To Sean's point about the $12 million for Saquon Barkley, I have no issue with that.
You paid 9 for Schultz. You paid 9 for Schultz and 11 for Rankin.
Yeah, just talk to me about the issues of availability and if you've got some concerns there. I'll hear that. But the cost for the type of player, he's of that Christian McCaffrey ilk.
And I'll go back to my point. What is a $6 million back?
Yeah.
A $5 million back?
Yeah.
Devin Singletary.
Yeah.
Good.
Right.
I like him.
Yeah.
It's not the guy that's going to get you there.
And if Quan hits the market, man, they gotta
Yeah.
they gotta do that.